Picking up from our last session on automated mountain and pathfinding models, let's continue with the next part of the bridge modeling process. Add a filtering logic for the arch bridge, here. Previously, the arch bridge was drawn in bridge 1 and the suspension bridge in bridge 2. I've now removed the suspension bridge part and kept only the arch bridge. The rest is the same as what we covered in the last video. Locate the bridges we imported in the previous video. Now, let's get to work on drawing the river. When we drew the roads before, the river channel was flat. It didn't have a real depression, and there was no water surface. Let's add a PSG to river node at this point. This node can load PSGs too, but since it's already handled upstream, we can skip that step here. Let's give it a run and see. Let's filter the first output port. It carries both high fields and currents, so we'll strip away everything except the high field. This way, only the high field is kept, and the curves are gone. Then, we'll pipe this output into the river channel. Pass the river layer over to it. The real layer here is a 1. Then set real mouth to the river map layer. The reason we're adding a river map layer is that if the terrain is virtually flat, the node won't be able to automatically calculate the flow direction and velocity based on elevation. So, we need to manually tell it where the outlet is. Let's execute this now to see the outcome. The river channel precision is clearly insufficient. We need to increase the resolution scale from 0.3 to 0.9. The detail is looking much better now. Let's bump the river channel up slightly to a height of 0.2. The river isn't deep enough at the bottom, so let's dial up the depth a little. Let's give the wide parts a depth of 70. So, as you can see, the lake surface section is now deeper. And for the narrow parts, let's go with 18. Now the depth is looking right. This is just a simple indentation of the riverbed, not a true erosion simulation. Let's add a bit of erosion. We'll run it for 4 iterations. There we go now, we've got that erosion effect kicking in. Let's create the river surface go ahead and check that on. Okay, the river surface is out now. Let's widen the river surface slightly to prevent it from clipping through the banks. Let's set it to 5, that way, the water stays within the defined boundaries of the channel. Alright, let's get a material on this water. I've got the UV path right here. Let's turn on backwater and see how that looks. It's not showing up just yet, that's because we haven't plugged in our preview texture. Let's point it to this one. Now we can see the water effect in action. Let's hit play. Now the water is flowing. Let's set the speed to 35 to make it a bit faster. We've enabled mass conservation for the water, so the flow is very slow in the lake areas, but speeds up significantly in the narrower sections. Let's increase the precision a bit. Let's change the follow map point spacing from 2 meters to 0.6. The follow map sampling precision controls not only the display quality, but also the resolution of the final output map. Each point represents an actual follow map sampling point. It's chugging a bit. Let's stop the sim and output the follow map first. Let's save the output maps to the E drive. Let's set the output size to 496. So, that's the gist of it. Let's take a look at the output. It matches the UVS perfectly. You can see the UVS here because there's no mesh. The mesh has been converted into a packed object. We add some cliffs. Cliff, please exclude the location of the bridge, because there is no need to create stones under the bridge. Excluding the ocean. Then change it to 0.2. Add a rule. Give him an asset. This asset is oriented towards the z-axis. And then its x-axis is at the center. The y-axis is on the positive y-axis. The axis of the z-axis is at its center, with the 7.3. Height 1.5. 3.1. The tiling type is set to repeat, with a repeat count of 1. Shown here as. The stones are arranged along the river. Scale it up slightly to 1.5 and 2. And then create another one. All stones along the river are placed using curve scatter. We won't cover the specific parameters or workflows in this section. A standalone tutorial will be provided to detail its underlying logic and full range of functions. This is the cliff effect. You can only see a rough bounding box here. For a real preview, you have to check it in Engine. Then, take the bridge mesh and import it into the river node. Use an add node to delete those points, as we only need the mesh. Currently, all the models are packed objects, so we need to unpack them first. Now, this is the actual mesh. Let's take a look at this follow map first. Here is the follow map as it was before adding the bridge. Now, let's run it one more time. Connect this to that. Let's check the position of the bridge. We've noticed that the water level is too high here, so we need to lower it a bit. Input -3.5 here. This height looks about right now. Let's rebake the follow map. Notice how we now have the flow data influenced by the bridge piers. Now, we'll generate some greenery along the riverbanks. Let's add a riverside vegetation component. The vegetation is implemented using single scatter. We'll bring in the tree assets for this area. Oh, wait, that's the wrong spot. They should be placed over here. Let me move them into the correct component. The -5 here refers to the distance from the bank. Let's adjust it to 1. Let's change it to -1 and see how it looks. This controls the size of the base. Let's set the radius to 0.8. The top radius is 8. It's 15 meters tall, so this is a very large tree. The points are scattered using a frustum as an approximate collider. So, intersection isn't based on the actual mesh, but on whether these approximate frustums overlap. This is disabled by default. Once we enable remove overlaps, the overlapping plants will disappear. This is the density. Let's change it to one tree every 10 meters. Check this box for max density. It ensures the highest density without the objects crashing into each other. Now, we'll add one more. We should exclude the bridge and the river mouth here. Let's do the same thing and exclude these areas. Enter the engine instance paths here. You can import multiple paths separated by spaces, and it will randomly pick one to use. With this mode, you can have plants growing right under the big trees. Those are the main rules for the river. That's it for this video. In the next tutorial, we'll cover the scattering system, terrain material system, spline scatter tools, suspension bridges, and UE importing.